The day of the wedding was a dream. At least, that's what everyone kept saying. Claire floated down the aisle in a gown that shimmered like mist in the morning light. Her voice trembled perfectly with emotion as she spoke about finding her forever home in my brother Ethan and in our family. The way she looked at him during their vows made even me, the family skeptic, want to believe in fairy tales. At the reception, she was the epitome of grace. Claire moved effortlessly from table to table, charming everyone. She paid special attention to our parents, refilling their glasses and drawing them into warm conversation with her own family, if you could call them that. I say, family, with air quotes because something didn't sit right. Claire had very few blood relatives present. There was her cousin and maid of honor, Allison, and an older couple introduced as her aunt and uncle. Her father, a silver-haired man with sharp eyes and fewer words, was there too, but where were her college friends from Yale? Her childhood buddies. Most guests were clearly from our side or people Claire said were family friends. As I danced with my husband, Nathan, I asked, "Where are all Claire's old friends?" He nodded, frowning. I was wondering the same thing. And have you noticed how her accent changes depending on who she's talking to? Now that he mentioned it, I had. With our parents, she had a distinct West Coast lilt. With her so-called uncle, she sounded Midwestern. I chalked it up to mimicking behavior. Some people mirror others without meaning to. But it didn't sit well. Throughout the night, I noticed Claire subtly directing who spoke with whom, particularly ensuring our father, Charles, spent a lot of time with her father. The two of them spoke in hushed tones about investment opportunities. Claire's father said things like, "With your experience in renewable energy and my connections in Southeast Asia, we could build something revolutionary." My father was intrigued. "I've wanted access to those markets for years," he said, eyes lighting up. "I have ways around those hurdles," Claire's father replied, smiling, but the smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Meanwhile, Nathan was taking more photos than usual, quietly snapping pictures of Claire interacting with different people. When I asked why, he shrugged. "Just capturing memories," he said, but his voice was tense, the same tension I'd seen when he sensed something was off during difficult surgeries at the hospital. By the time we got back to our room that night, I was exhausted, but restless. "Did you enjoy yourself?" Nathan asked as we got ready for bed. "Yes," I replied automatically. "Mostly. Did you?" He hesitated. "It was an interesting day." We both lay in bed in uneasy silence, sleep coming slow and fractured. At brunch the next morning, the mood was lighter, if hungover. Claire wore a casual white sundress and played the gracious new wife role perfectly. Nathan, however, kept checking his phone, slipping away for hushed calls. When I asked what was going on, he muttered, "Hospital check-ins." But that wasn't like him. He always fully unplugged during our time away together. As we sat at the family table, my mother beamed. "Isn't she just lovely?" she whispered, watching Claire laugh with the groomsmen. "So elegant, so polished. And her father's connections could be very useful," my dad added. "Dad," I said, trying to sound casual. "You're not seriously investing with someone you just met, are you?" "He's not just anyone," Dad replied, slightly bristled. "He's built quite the portfolio. We're meeting in Chicago next week to go over a few ideas." Before I could argue further, Nathan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and stood abruptly. "Excuse me." I watched him pace outside the window, gesturing wildly as he spoke. When he came back, his face was grim. At that moment, Claire approached our table, directing a question at my dad. "Charles, I meant to ask about your take on the Sherman portfolio strategy. Your success with it is legendary." I froze. That strategy wasn't public knowledge, it was Dad's private methodology developed over decades. How would she know about it? Nathan leaned in and whispered, "We need to leave. Now. I'll explain in the car." "What?" I whispered. "We can't just leave. It's about Claire," he said, his tone sharp. "She's not who she says she is. She's a con artist. And she's targeting your father." Half an hour later, we were on the road. Nathan pulled over at a scenic overlook and opened a folder on his phone. "Something felt off the moment we arrived," he said. "So I asked a friend in private security to do a background check. Look, I stared at a driver's license for a woman named Eva Markovich. It was Claire, just with different hair. She married a hedge fund guy in Boston, Lawrence Peden. Disappeared with $2 million. Then again in Seattle as Catherine Miller. Same scam. There were photos, marriage certificates, and news articles. All showing different names, different faces, same pattern. She's been doing this for years, Nathan said. And she's not working alone. She targeted Ethan, but for Dad, I whispered. Exactly. We checked into a hotel and called my friend Jess, a cybersecurity expert. She owed my dad a favor and agreed to check for suspicious access on his system. 2 hours later, she called back. Someone installed a keylogger, she said. 3 days ago. Everything, passwords, bank logins, investment notes, it's all been captured. Who? I asked. Someone on the estate's Wi-Fi. Nathan stood. We're going back. Tonight. We returned just as dinner ended and pulled Ethan aside. In the estate library, we laid everything out, the fake names, stolen money, the FBI bulletins. He paled. No, she couldn't have. She did, I said gently. Then the door opened. What's going on? Claire, no, Eva, asked. Ethan stepped forward. We know, Claire. Or should I say Eva? Or Catherine. Her face flickered. 1 second of calculation, then confusion, then back to calm. This is absurd, she said. Michael opened the laptop. Here's your wedding to Lawrence Peden. Here's the article about the embezzlement. Our dad added, and here's the evidence that someone accessed my accounts. Her mask cracked. I underestimated you, Drive. Parker, she said to Nathan coldly. Most people see what they want to see. Ethan's voice broke. Was any of it real? You were kind, she said coolly. But this was business. What kind of business? Our dad demanded. Wealth redistribution, she replied. Men like you hoard it. I just even the playing field. You won't get away with it, I said. Actually, I already have. And what will you do? Go public. Let the world know how easily you were fooled. She turned to leave, but my father stopped her. My security team froze every account. And the FBI's Financial Crimes Division has been alerted. She faltered. You're bluffing. He held up the email confirmation. You have 2 choices, he said. Wait for the FBI. Or run, with nothing but that purse. For the first time, real fear entered her eyes. I could have made you happy, she whispered to Ethan. You never even existed, he said quietly. The hours that followed were chaos, statements, FBI interviews, and shocking revelations. Claire's real name was Alexandra Petrovic, born in Serbia. She'd been running elaborate cons since her teens. Her team, actors, identity fabricators, fake family members, had vanished. Some were eventually caught. Most were still out there. Ethan was crushed. They annulled the marriage within a week, but the trauma lingered. Only our family knew the whole truth. The rest were told a sanitized version, misrepresentation, a green card mix-up, nothing serious. But we knew. Alexandra had been seconds away from robbing my father blind. A storage unit rented under her alias contained chilling files, photos, charts, habits, passwords, detailing our lives like we were lab specimens. In time, we healed. Ethan moved to Chicago. My parents rallied around him. Nathan and I stayed nearby for weeks. Slowly, he recovered. A year later, we all sat down for dinner again. It wasn't joyful, but it was peaceful. You know what I learned? Ethan said, setting down his fork. Real love doesn't isolate you. It brings you closer to the people who know you best. My mother nodded. And real trust is earned, not demanded. The FBI case against Alexandra was airtight. She'd face serious prison time. The man who posed as her father, the ringleader, was still out there, but we'd given the feds everything we had. We weren't the same family anymore. We were stronger, smarter, still scarred, but healing. And Ethan, he still believed in love. Just not the kind that comes with a mask. If you've ever had that gut feeling something was off about someone who seemed perfect, listen to it. Because sometimes, love at first sight, is just a well-crafted lie.